What's going on, guys? I'm Tyler, and I'm here to let you know that Knives Out is no perfect movie. And it centers around the death of a famous mystery novelist played by Christopher Plummer, the investigation that's overseen by a private detective named Benoit Blanc, played by Daniel Craig, and the perspective of the suspects, the housekeeper Marta, played by Ana de Armas, as well as Harlan's extended family, which is played by Chris Evans, Don Johnson, Michael Shannon, Jamie Lee Curtis, Toni Collette, Jaeden Martell, among many other big and talented names. And this was the movie that I really wanted to see at TIFF the most. It was the first movie I tried to get tickets for. It led to a lot of shouting matches between myself and my computer. So that should really sum it up. But hey, I still get to see it a week early. What have I got to complain about? Especially because this was a really good murder mystery. And Rian Johnson does one of the most essential things you can do with a murder mystery movie. Even when you can guess certain things that are going to happen, you are still on the edge of your seat. Because, yeah, I paid attention to some of the clues on screen, which is completely fine. If they hide clues from you during a movie, that's just cheating. There's no fun in that. But the reason it was still investing is because Johnson does something that I wasn't entirely expecting. He throws in murder mystery tropes that you would expect from movies like Clue or Murder on the Orient Express, but he structurally rearranges them in certain ways. So, big key elements to the mystery are actually revealed pretty early on because of the way they're rearranged. And because that happens, the shock value of it will either have you looking even harder for clues because you're so invested and you want to know what's going to happen next, or you completely miss others that are hidden in plain sight. And that is one of the best things you could do with a movie like this. And since the majority of the movie follows the investigation aspect of the movie, you don't really learn a ton about these characters until it becomes essential, until it raises the stakes and the tension. And while some of these characters seem a little two dimensional on paper, it's the actors' performances that make each family member seem so pathetic that you actually root for their pain, and it really adds to the comedy element nicely for this movie. And out of all the family members, Chris Evans sticks out the most because of just how casually cruel of a person he was. I was really excited to see him the most because we all expect him to be the leading man based on the Captain America movies alone, not just movies like Gifted or anything else like that. But because we've seen him as the leading man for so long, that's actually what adds to him crudely insulting anyone within a split second and always smiling in such a sadistic and over the top fashion. It was just so entertaining to watch. And even though Christopher Plummer's not in it, obviously not in it for that much, when you do see brief flashbacks of what he was like as a person, you genuinely do feel bad that he's dead. But my two favorite performances for sure were Daniel Craig as Benoit Blanc, and most of all, Ana de Armas as Marta. She surprised me so much, but we'll get to her in a second. Daniel Craig as Benoit, I thought his Southern accent when I first saw the trailer was going to be like a standard joke throughout the whole movie, but they played it straight for the entire thing that to the point where I actually kept forgetting that that wasn't even his real voice. That was just how good of a performance he was given. And while, again, the movie mostly follows the investigation, you don't really learn a ton about him or his past, but for two reasons, one of which you don't really need to, and second, based on the stuff that he does tell you, like the circumstances of how he was hired to investigate this murder, you do genuinely get the sense that he is a man of honor and that he does his job completely out of honor and dignity as opposed to just doing it for money or glory. Despite the fact that everyone's just like, oh, you're the famous detective, you're that guy, how much did they give you to come in here? And Ana de Armas, I'm so glad she's doing other movies after Blade Runner. I hope she gets to do more, especially after this performance, because she has to keep a lot of secrets hidden from not just the family members, but from the detectives, from other people in her personal life, because out of all the characters, her life outside of the family is explored a little bit more. And the way she has to keep these secrets is cleverly played for laughs and for dramatic tension based on what scenario she's in. And just like Benoit, every action, without giving anything away, that she does in this movie is based on an act of loyalty. That being said, there are a few actors who get like little to nothing to work with. Lakeith Stanfield is in this movie just to be a skeptic cop who looks stupid every time he's proven wrong. Noah Segan is in the movie because him and Rian Johnson are kind of like best buddies, and I can completely understand that. It's just the majority of his jokes just did not land for me, and Jaeden Martell was probably the biggest letdown for me because I think he's one of the best kid actors working today. But in this movie, I'm not even kidding. He's just here to act like one of those internet trolls that chased off the Star Wars cast off of Twitter. That's literally the only reason. Rian Johnson has flat out said that The Last Jedi Backlash centers inside this kid's mind. And I'd be okay with that if they actually did something with it, but no, he's just there to throw a bunch of alt-right slurs, and I don't find anything funny about that. In fact, there's actually quite a bit of humor that centers around stuff that's going on now. I really don't have to go into that much detail because that's the problem with some of the humor. Everybody's already covered some of this stuff before. We know what's going on around us in the world today, if you're a sane person anyways, is bad. But here's the thing, when it's a part of the mystery and when it adds the suspense and tension, it works. It's seamless. You don't pay attention to the social commentary aspects of it because it's still an entertaining murder mystery. But when it's just characters arguing back and forth about their ideologies just for the sake of comedy, there's absolutely nothing new. We've seen it thousands of times, and it's only been 3 years. Outside of a few performances that lead to nowhere and a few jokes that are already dated, Knives Out was more than worth the wait. It was a well-acted, well-written murder mystery that was full of surprises that thankfully never got in the way of crafting an intriguing and compelling story. And for that reason, I'm going to give Knives Out a 4 out of 5. Guys, thanks as always for watching. Be sure to let me know what you thought of Knives Out in the comments below. And be sure to like, subscribe, and check out my other reviews at NoPerfectMovie.com. Take care.